As a wedding guest, is cake important to you? So my future husband and I got our cake samples yesterday and they were terrible. You'd think, oh, why don't you just use another bakery? In a normal situation you'd be right, but our venue is a package deal, so pretty much everything you'd contract out is included, including the cake. They have a bakery they use for this specific part of the deal. Well, we drove an hour to pick up the samples and refrigerated them until dinner. We started sampling the strawberry one. It was okay. Then the mango had a slight chemical back taste to it. Then lemon raspberry, decent. Red velvet, kinda bland. And then the chocolates. I love chocolate, but these were awful. The mocha had the most overpowering coffee flavor in a bad way, and a slight chemical taste. Then dulce de leche. This one was the one I was most excited about. We took one bite and both looked at each other like, WTF did we just eat? It straight up tasted like plastic and chemicals. It was the worst cake I've ever tasted. Not to mention the frosting on all was this weird white paste with no flavoring. So now I'm at an impasse. Nothing was really that good, and if we get one we're going to settle for lemon raspberry. My question is, do guests really eat that much cake for me to be worried about this, or should I let it go and serve mediocre cake? Tell the venue that their cakes are awful. Be honest, you're paying for a service to be done nicely, not leaving you with disgust. Bring the samples back so whoever is in charge can see for themselves. I mean, yeah, I like a nice cake. And you shouldn't have to pay for a shitty cake no one is going to enjoy. But I DK if it's worth changing venue over. Does your venue allow any sort of outside food? My wife and I had a package deal for cocktail hour food and entrees. But we were allowed to bring in true Italian cookies, cannabis, and a separate plain vanilla cake that I made for some of my guests because they're super picky. This may not be an option, but it wouldn't hurt to ask. That being said, I personally don't care much for cake. Hell, I wanted a layer of our wedding cake to be steak. That got vetoed. Edit cannoli, not cannabis. That would be awesome though. My fat ass cares. The best wedding cake I've ever had was tres leches. It isn't structurally sound for a multi-tiered wedding cake, so the mother of the bride made it all in several giant lasagna pans. I could have eaten an entire pan by myself. That was 15 years ago and I still remember the cake. Tell the venue. Ask them to try the cakes. It devalues their whole offering. They will care. One report won't be enough. Taking the proof in with samples will be. It isn't good enough. I went to a wedding earlier this year and the cake was 10 Colin the caterpillar cakes stacked in a pyramid. Nothing will ever beat that, so I think you're good. Oh, the cake is the highlight of the wedding emo. You definitely have a problem here. But I've learned something in the catering business. If you can get enough drinks in them during dinner service, then they'll be coming up to you in droves saying it's the best cake in the world. Could literally serve them dog shit. Doesn't matter. If an intoxicated person sees a delicious cake, they will taste a delicious cake. As they say, you eat with your eyes first. I don't think your cake will be as bad as ours. We ordered 5 heart-shaped cakes, 3 of which we ate at the venue. One was given by me to my in-laws and the last by my wife to my parents as part of the ceremony. We still have that last one on display. Looks awesome. Was inedible. Survived a 14-hour flight. Though. Respect. Honestly, cake is the best part of the wedding. As someone who have been to many weddings including my mom's, guests usually care more about alcohol and food. Come to think about it, I don't remember if there even was a cake on any of them. Wedding cakes rarely taste as good as they look. And even if it's bad, it won't ruin anything. But maybe see if they can do a plain vanilla? Without the extra fancy flavors, it might taste better. I told my venue that I didn't care what the cake looked like as long as it tasted good. It was a nice surprise because I had no idea what it was going to be. It was beautiful, tasted amazing, and people still talk about it. We didn't serve cake because we don't care about the cake ourselves. We like ice cream. We got buckets of ice cream from our favorite bougie place and served them to our guests and took pics with them. Don't spend wedding money on stuff you don't love. As a guest, I like cake, but if the cake is bad, I'll leave it on the plate, and I'll still have a good time. Speak to the venue ASAP and let them know all the samples were below standard and they need to use a different baker. No. But keep in mind it's an event that takes some time, and if you want to skip it, you should replace it with something. Yes, I am cake whore, especially wedding cakes. Tell the venue their cake sucks. Lemon raspberry is perfect, yum. I'll say this. My first marriage didn't last, but almost 15 years later people still talk about how good the food. Our cake was at our wedding. Yes, the cake is the only part of the reception I like. If your friend's family really don't enjoy the evening because of cake, they are very crappy people. Don't worry. They will eat it or they won't. This won't spoil the evening. All I know is if someone served me wedding cake that was subpar, I'd call the minister back and tell him I have an objection to this union after all. We had assorted macarons in towers and table arrangements instead of cake. Everyone loved them. I have had some good wedding cakes, but most of them honestly taste like 4-day-old dry cake to me. It's important, but before you freak out, I would mention it to the venue. Maybe they had a new baker or something. Tell the venue that the cakes are terrible. You shouldn't have to pay a small fortune for a cheap box cake mixture. Personally, one of my favorite parts of a wedding is the cake, and I do feel disappointed at weddings with non-traditional desserts and no cake. I just love cake, but it's not as important to everyone as it is to me. It's your wedding. Do what you want or don't want. We didn't have cake. Nobody lost sleep. Or do baklava for everyone. Make your own rules. Yes, for sure. Not to me. It's cake. It'll be good regardless. My mother-in-law rates the entire wedding on the cake. Tears of joy. My friend did a Viennese table and a coffee bar for those that were interested. I feel like no one ever cares about dessert at these things. Then on the way out she had boxed cake slices with a fork attached for everyone to take. When I was laying on the couch hungover trying to get the cake in my mouth while laying sideways the next morning, I loved her so much in that moment for that idea. If you went this way, you can get some Costco sheet cakes and hire someone to slice and box them. Or ask if the catering hall will do it in lieu of them baking, slicing, serving cake. I wasn't 100% sure about the cake from our food caterer. It was good but nothing to die for. Found a nice place close to the venue with chef pastries and desserts and ordered about $200 of those. So had a cake and some extra stuff that I paid out of pocket. Everyone was happy. I appreciate a good wedding cake. They're rare. I would be disappointed if there was no cake, lol. I love cake, but if you're going to spend a lot of money, get a good cake. I've never been worried about the cake at a wedding. It's usually okay but nothing special, and I wouldn't mind missing it. You could make it a joke in the speeches. I hope you all enjoyed the breakfast and venue and avoid the cake as it's subpar but was a package deal with the rest unfortunately. Yummy face. Yes, everyone loves cake. I think it's especially important for guests that don't drink because it is their treat. Is it possible to get like a super basic wedding cake flavor? No fruit filling or anything extra. Just classic white almond extract?